Yeah. Hi guys, it's Ben. Welcome to the Raid and Trade channel. I'm here with my top 16 YCS Bologna deck profile. I play pure Mitsurugi. I basically played the same list as in Lille earlier this year. Didn't change much. I didn't get to play much during the last 2 months, so I just stuck to comfort, basically. Alright. Standard Mitsurugi engine, 3 Habakiri, 2 Murakumo and 1 Futsu for rituals. I don't think there's much changing that in pure. Then I played 2 Aramasa, 1 Saji, 1 Kusanagi, and the Night Sword Serpent. I like Serpent because it's just another level 4 buddy that instantly threatens something or makes like IP easier. Second Aramasa just for consistency mainly. I didn't want to play Manju because it conflicts with Impulse, which I'm maining. 3 Fuvalas and the Searchable Nip, 4 monster hand traps. Her spells, just 3 prayers, 3 rituals, standard, 3 pre-prep on the mirror. And I didn't play Magatama. I only played the trap in the main deck because I think Magatama is kind of mid into Draco Tail and Yummy, so I don't see much reason to play that card. I'd rather have the trap. I think you do want another a second spell trap that's searchable in the main deck though, so that's why I'm maining the trap and not siding it. Then more consistency cards, 4 pots. Basically self-explanatory more or less. Actually, I preferred Extraf over running Izuna for the Draco Tail matchup. Just because of consistency reasons. I think the alternatives for consistency cards are a little bit worse. So I decided to not run Izuna, make my Draco Tail matchup a little bit worse, because I think extra deck gets a little weird with if you do run the Izuna package, Extravagance and Super Poly targets. I played Super Poly, even though it's not very good against Draco Tail, and I didn't end up even playing a target for Draco Tail, because my theory was that if you use it against Draco Tail, you might get rid of 2 of their monsters, but since I'm not interrupting their setup, they almost always will have all 3 traps. And at that point, I'm playing with 4 cards against 3 of their traps, which include the Sting, the Banish, and the Flame Negate. So I don't think that's winning very often, and that's at a point where I already drew an on-engine. So at that point, I was just like, okay, I won't waste the extra deck space on a Draco Tail target, but this non-engine is still the strongest into almost any other matchup. So I thought it's still worth maining, because even though Draco Tail is probably or was my most played matchup, which I expected, about 66% of the matchups are still other matchups which Super Poly is really great against. 3 Droplet, it's kind of good against Draco Tail because it dodges Flame. It's also somewhat generic, and it's a decent board breaker that you can have in your deck going first as well, because as you can see, I'm not playing any hand traps except Fuvalas and the 1 Nib. I'm not even maining Ash. Because I think that those are kind of weak into Draco Tail. Impulse is an exception, I guess, because it can also work like a breaker into almost any deck right now. You can like interrupt Surprise, 5 mana. There's so many things you can impulse going second, even if you draw out of Extra. And it's just super versatile. You can't really dodge it or negate it. Let's go extra deck first. It's very quick. 2 IP, 2 SP, 2 Dynamondo for Extravagance. Nothing special here. I played a Goddess as an additional out against Lunalight, and just like also for Tyros, because people were doing Izuna for Tyros into Zeus against Draco Tail mainly, but my deck also struggles a little bit with that if I don't have a specific setup. So I thought, okay, it's kind of good to have something to get rid of it. So IP can remove something that is protected by Lupus and by card effects. Didn't come up at all for me. Probably should have been something else. Maybe I could have played Dingirsa instead of this, which you have to make on your turn after the Izuna, but I still think that's pretty realistic. One Granite, one Dugars, one Baguska, one Excite Knight. Excite Knight was a new addition for me. I was playing 2 Granite before, but it did come up and it did win me at least one game, so yeah, and then 1 Zeus. And for Super Poly, I only played 2 Garura and a Mud Dragon, which is rather risky in terms of banishing, but I think Garura is much more important, especially going first than the Mud Dragon. And I didn't want to waste too much space, just because of the like extravagance interaction. Did work out, never really came back to bite me. And then side deck, because my main deck with Super Poly is rather mid against Reiko Tail, I was siding a lot against that deck, which is 3 Retaliating, then 3 Ash Blossoms, which I'm always able to side going first for Full Loss at least, no matter what matchup. And then 3 Double Cyclone, which is especially good against Reiko Tail. And of course, best card in the deck, Dimension Shifter. I didn't want to main it because I think it does actually hurt your grind game and your gameplay a little bit. And there's a decent amount of decks that just don't care, especially right now with Vanquish Soul that got more popular. I mean, it won the YCS. So I didn't want to run the risk of especially going first, dropping this, and putting myself at a disadvantage when like opponent can just play for free under it. But it obviously is very strong into the right matchups, so definitely have to play it somewhere. Other 3 side deck cantrips were 3 Droll. I think this is just needed against some of the unfair decks. Similar to Shifter, it's a cantrip that you can just draw on its own, and it has a lot of impact in the right matchups. And then the one Mitsurugi Kaiju. I don't think it's super needed. It did come up against the one Lunalight that I played. It was probably somewhat winnable without, because I drew Retaliating. But I think it's okay to play if you just have the space. It's just a versatility piece. It doesn't even have to be against a Towers monster. Sometimes it's just, in some matchups, it's just good to break boards anyways. And then last card, I didn't know what to play. I just played 1 Nibiru, because Malice was also gaining more popularity. And I didn't want to play something that was so specific to Malice as a one-off, like Lancia or... Well, Meowth is slightly less specific, but Nibiru is something that you can also side going first against a lot of decks, so I thought that was the best middle ground in the new Malice deck. Sometimes loses to Nibiru a little bit more, or like harder to Nibiru, because they don't have the extra Splash Magic extender, so they have to commit more early. Yeah, that's about it. I did way better than I expected, so I'm really happy about this result, even though I missed out, or just missed out on top 8, which sucks of course, but we'll go again next time, I guess, right? So shoutouts of course to Raid and Trade for sponsoring me. Shoutouts to my team for testing with me when I'm down to, and putting up with me in the last few months where I like really couldn't play much. Yeah, shoutouts to Max for letting me borrow cards, and shoutouts to Karl for filming this deck profile. Alright, that's about it. Check out our socials, check out our Twitter, check out my Twitter, and yeah, see you guys next time. Bye bye.